Good morning. This is Mr. Zatola coming to you via remote lesson video. So today I'm going to go over our class syllabus. So let's take a look here. A nice little header. We're always striving for excellence every day in our class. All right, so what do we have? We have Regents Biology in the year 2021. I hope you're excited. I am Mr. Zatola. This is my email address. Please know the best way to get in touch with me is to send me an email or come speak to me in person if you're able to. I can be found teaching biology in one of two rooms. I have two classes this year. I have one in C6 and one in C15. So don't be shocked if I'm not in either room because I am all over the building. Please email me if you need. Also, here is our remind. I will have both classes on the same remind, and you cannot text each other from it. Please send at biospe20 to 81010. Okay, great. So let's get started. All right. This class, it's a small ratio class, which means there's only about 12 or under students in it. It is a Regents Biology course, and all students enrolled in this course will take the Living Environment Regents at the end of the school year to receive Regents credit and also as your class final. We will cover topics from the human body and its systems to genetics, evolution, and ecology. All right. So some of the materials I'm going to ask you to have in the course this year are pens and pencils and device with internet access, and that can be an iPad, iPod, tablet, a Droid, but really you should have some sort of computer and that with internet access, but we will go over how to use some of our handheld devices for this. All right, this is important. In addition, all right, all materials such as homework packets, guided notes packets, videos, and projects will be posted on Google Classroom. All right, hard copies will be handed out in class for the first few weeks, but the goal is to get away from using paper. What you'll find out, and when I go over next, is that for the first few weeks, we'll be reviewing our technology. So let me get to that. Our tech needs, all right? All apps and programs are school approved. When you log into them, this is very important. As you sign in, you will sign in using your school Gmail account login information. That's your school email and login. That is on any one of these apps, and maybe you're familiar with some of them. So let's review. We will be using Google Classroom primarily for handing out materials and for turning in assignments. All right. I recommend that you download the app on your device if you're going to use it. And I would download the app either way on a phone because it can give you reminders on items that are coming up, like assignments, projects, and tests and quizzes. Okay. We're going to be using a program called Kami. Kami is used to enter information on PDFs using text boxes, writing or drawing, entering shapes, and even highlighting when we do certain assignments. All right, we will be going over how to use Kami and Google Classroom in the first few days. We will then be reviewing how to use Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is a video application that allows me to add questions on the video during the video. We call that embedding. These embedded questions must be answered before you may move on. And the program keeps track and requires you to watch the whole videos, so no skipping. You will be earning grades watching these videos for remote lessons and for some review lessons, all right? As well, a lot of the videos I make, I will be uploading to Edpuzzle to ensure that students are actually viewing them. We will also be seeing a lot of the videos on YouTube, okay? That doesn't mean that you can just watch them on YouTube and skip ahead or play them in the background, but I like to have YouTube up just in case you'd like to go back and review that video a number of times as you're preparing for an assessment, for example. And finally, we'll be using the Remind application just so I could send out occasional reminders, updates, and What we found out in the spring was it was a good application to keep touch. Just ask how everyone is doing. Great. So let's go over a grading policy here. So what we have here are assessments. So these is any test that we give, but it doesn't have to be a written test like you remember it. I'll be doing some performance task projects and some other different style of test and project that will allow you to show your creativity and also show your abilities. It's not necessarily just a question answer and a right or wrong. You will have a number of different projects to work on that you can really get involved in. You will be given ample time to study and prepare for any assessment, and that is worth 40% of your grade. Participation covers a few things: homework, classwork, and remote video lessons that you have to watch. Okay, these assignments are going to be worth 30% of your grade. And finally, what I think is the most fun part of science is our labs. Labs are worth 30% of your grade, and they'll require you to successfully complete the lab program, which is also required just to take the Regents exam in June. And you'll probably get a little annoyed by the amount of times we talk about the requirements for the Regents, but I don't make those requirements up, but I do believe in them. The state determines how many lab minutes you have to have. It's 1,200, which is 20 hours a lab. And as well, we will complete 4 very specific labs that the state has set for us. We must complete. Labs will be contained in the class environment. You will not be doing labs at home until we get into a few virtual labs that you could do during your remote lessons. Lab makeups. So if you are absent, you must immediately come and see me to make up your lab. Lab makeups will be done during time that we are not in class. Okay, expectations for you. So the first piece of this expectations list is what I call the basics of being a student in class. All right. All students are expected to come to class on time and with their guided notes and homework packet. So the guided notes and homework packets will be handed out for the first few weeks until we're all comfortable using the online only, right, Google Classroom items. Again, that's a goal of the school, is to get away from paper pencil. But just know you can always ask me for a copy or print your own copy. The second piece, students will be expected to follow all safety, and yes, this is a big one, social distancing protocols, which includes hand sanitizer as you enter the classroom. Each classroom has a hand sanitizer station, and you will be expected to use that as you enter. I recommend using it when you leave as well. You'll also be expected to leave your mask on at all times. What you might not realize is every staff member in the building is doing that right now. The only reason I don't have a mask on is because I am alone in the classroom. Okay, students are expected to participate in a positive and constructive manner. What does that mean? It's science. And in science, we love to talk about current topics, topics of interest, just general questions for me. I am a science person. I love it. Ask me questions about it. We'll get into good discussions. The topics that we learn, I have a feeling you're really going to jump in and try and be part of a class discussion. And they can be opinionated, but what we like to remind students is to remember that everyone has different opinions and beliefs and understanding. So discussing it is different from arguing about it. And that's where we are not going to reach. We're not going to get into those arguing situations because those are not constructive. We have to be constructive and positive. Participation will consist of answering questions that are asked of individuals. I may call out and ask you a specific question. I would also like to see people offer up answers to questions, right? This is contributing to the subject matter of study. So if you have something you'd like to discuss that we're currently talking about, please bring it up. It might lead us in a great direction. Now, this part, the at-home portion of your responsibilities. You are expected to log on to Google Classroom every day. You are expected to complete class homework and other assignments and turn them in via Google Classroom. And we will go over that in class during the first week of school. Students should complete video lessons and assignments by the due date and time. Yes, time is important here. Most assignments will be due at 12 midnight the night of the night they are due. I recommend you don't wait until almost 12 midnight to look at your assignments. And I also recommend that you get a better sleep pattern to be more refreshed in the morning when you come to school. So please be mindful of that. And again, we will review those in class. Labs, conduct. The purpose of the lab is to give you some experience in being a scientist. You're going to conduct labs. The experiments will include will include safely following prescribed lab procedures and handling delicate and costly equipment. You're responsible. Students who fail to conduct themselves appropriately will be removed from the lab. Furthermore, a student may be held financially responsible for damage to any equipment through carelessness or misuse, which is rare, so I don't expect that. Preparation. This is a little new. Since labs have a limited amount of work time, it is essential that students be familiar with each lab by reading any assigned references before they come to lab and by participating in pre-lab discussions. You may even have a pre-lab video to watch on your Monday remote day before you come to lab that week. Lab requirements. This is important. Successful completion of the laboratory program is a prerequisite for the admission to the Regents exam in June. So what that means is students who don't complete the lab requirement will not be allowed to take the Regents and therefore will not be taking the class final and not receiving credit. I will do my best to make sure that you have all of the prerequisite lab time in your hands before that date comes. All right, this includes completing satisfactorily written lab reports that have to be collected and kept in the folder in the classroom. You will not be taking labs out of the classroom as part of this requirement. I find that when students leave with important pieces of paper like this, they tend to lose them. Makeup labs. Absences on lab days should be avoided whenever possible. That's a thing. If you have to or are unable to control that and you miss a lab period, plan on making up that missed lab as soon as you return to school. All right, we'll set a time aside for you to come in and work on that lab. And it might even be with another class working on the lab. Benchmarks and Regents exams. So benchmarks and Regents exams are the normal for the class, though in these odd times, these may be subject to change based on the decisions made by the state, not by me or the school. Okay? The benchmark exams are cumulative quarterlies. They happen after the first marking period, second marking period, and third marking period that review how well you know the material up to that point. Benchmark exams are just the material within the quarter. So second benchmark is only material from marking period 2, for example. The dates of the exams will be announced to give you as much time to prepare for them as possible. Each benchmark counts as 4% of your final grade, which means 12% of your final grade comes from 3 benchmark exams. The Regents exam. This is something you're going to hear us talk about a lot. Students will be taking the living environment Regents exam in June. This also counts as 12% of your grade. The Regents exam is a fully cumulative test based on all of the information we have gone through the whole year. So please understand that this is the goal, and I promise we will complete all of the material you would need to be successful on this exam. So to conclude, I look forward to having you in class for a successful year. All right. And our first task and first assignment and your first quiz grade, and in an effort to confirm parents and students review this material, you will be using Kami to insert your name down here, typing it with a text box, the date here, and finally using the right tool to do your signature. As well, your parent's name, date, and signature will go here, and you will be turning this in, submitting it in Google Classroom for a 10 out of 10 on a quiz grade. Thank you, everyone. Going to be a great year. Pleasure talking to you. Mr. Zatola out.